Before milk became something you poured over cereal or stirred into coffee. Before it was bottled, branded, advertised, or argued about. It was a risk. A gamble taken by early humans who had no idea they were about to reshape their own biology. This isn't just the story of a drink. This is the story of how humans bent evolution using food. And today, we're going all the way back to the moment milk entered human history. For most of human existence, milk had exactly one purpose: feeding babies. Like every other mammal on Earth, humans produced milk for infancy, and once childhood ended, the biological switch flipped. The enzyme needed to digest lactose shut down. Adult humans drinking milk wasn't normal. It wasn't expected. It wasn't even possible for most of our species. For tens of thousands of years, no one questioned that reality. Now let's rewind the clock. Early humans lived as hunter-gatherers. They followed animals, gathered plants, and survived through movement. Animals were hunted, not managed. Food was consumed quickly or lost. There was no storage, no long-term planning, no steady surplus. Milk from another species didn't fit into that lifestyle. It wasn't accessible, and even if it had been, adult bodies weren't prepared for it. Everything changed when humans stopped wandering and started settling. Around 10,000 years ago, humans in several regions began domesticating animals. Sheep and goats came first, followed by cattle. These animals were no longer wild prey. They became controllable resources. At first, their value was obvious: meat for food, hides for clothing, bones for tools, strength for labor. Milk wasn't the original goal, but then someone noticed something extraordinary. These animals produced food without dying. Milk appeared every day. It didn't require slaughter. It didn't depend on a successful hunt. It didn't disappear when crops failed. As long as the animal lived, food kept coming. In a world where famine was a constant threat and clean water wasn't guaranteed, this was revolutionary. Milk was rich in fat, protein, and calories. It hydrated, it nourished, and it could be accessed again and again. That reliability alone made it valuable enough to experiment with, even if the consequences weren't too pleasant at first. Because here's the uncomfortable truth: the first humans who drank animal milk were not biologically equipped for it. Most adults experienced digestive pain, bloating, and illness. But early humans didn't abandon milk. They adapted around it. Instead of walking away, they started experimenting. Before we go any further, if you're into real food history, not surface-level trivia, not recycled myths, hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications right now. This channel is about understanding where food really comes from and how it shaped humanity. And this story matters more than most. Milk was left to sit. It soured, it separated, it thickened, and something interesting happened. Fermentation broke down lactose naturally. What started as a risky liquid slowly transformed into something more tolerable. Without knowing chemistry or microbiology, early humans discovered a workaround through observation and necessity. This wasn't comfort food. This was survival technology. Fermented milk products didn't spoil as quickly. They traveled better. They were easier to digest. Over time, humans learned how to guide the process. Curds formed. Whey drained away. Early cheese emerged. Butter followed. Milk stopped being just a drink and became a system. As farming communities expanded, dairy traveled with them. Milk was shaped by geography and lifestyle. Nomadic groups fermented mare's milk into lightly alcoholic drinks that could survive long journeys. Mountain communities relied on goats and sheep. Desert cultures depended on camels. Each society adapted milk to what worked best. Milk wasn't universal, but where it existed, it changed everything. Over generations, something unexpected began to happen. In populations that relied heavily on dairy, a rare genetic trait became valuable. Some adults continued producing lactase, the enzyme needed to digest lactose. Those individuals could drink fresh milk without pain. They absorbed more calories. They survived shortages better. Their children had higher survival rates. Slowly, that trait spread. Humans didn't evolve first and then drink milk. They drank milk first, and evolution followed. Culture led. Biology adapted later. That detail matters because it overturns a common assumption about food and human design. Milk isn't something humans were naturally meant to consume. It's something we forced into our lives because it worked. That makes milk one of the clearest examples of humans reshaping their own evolutionary path through behavior. As dairy became reliable, it changed how humans thought about time. Hunting cultures lived day to day. Early farming cultures planned season to season. Dairy cultures planned across generations. A cow wasn't just food, it was long-term security. It represented future meals, future children, future survival. Milk allowed humans to measure wealth in living assets. It created stability. It reduced risk. It allowed populations to grow and settle permanently. Villages became towns. Towns became cities. Milk didn't build civilizations alone, but it quietly supported them from the inside. Milk also reshaped labor and social structure. Unlike hunting, which required strength, speed, and distance, dairying could be managed close to home. Children could help. Elders could contribute. Work became distributed. Food production no longer depended entirely on young, able-bodied hunters. This widened participation and strengthened communities. There was also a psychological shift taking place. Milk trained humans to trust invisible processes. Fermentation happened out of sight. Time transformed something dangerous into something safe. This taught humans patience, observation, and confidence in controlled change. That mindset later carried over into bread, alcohol, preservation, and medicine. Milk wasn't just nourishment, it was education. As civilizations emerged, milk took on symbolic meaning. In some cultures, it represented purity. In others, strength and vitality. In others, divine blessing. These meanings weren't invented randomly. Milk saved lives. Food that saves lives becomes sacred. Milk entered rituals, ceremonies, and religious offerings. It became part of identity. It separated pastoral societies from agricultural ones. It marked regions and traditions. It told stories about environment, survival, and adaptation. Still, milk never conquered the world. Many regions developed powerful food systems without dairy. Rice, grains, roots, and legumes fed billions. That matters because it reminds us milk's rise wasn't destiny. It succeeded where environments supported herding and where humans chose to invest in it. Even today, the global pattern of lactose tolerance tells that story. Where dairy mattered, biology followed. Where it didn't, it didn't. In the medieval world, dairy became routine. Fresh milk spoiled quickly, so most people consumed it as cheese, butter, or sour milk. These products stored energy for winters and bad harvests. Monasteries refined cheesemaking. Farmers measured wealth in animals. Milk wasn't luxurious, but it was dependable. Milk helped people survive when little else could. Then came the modern era, and milk faced its biggest transformation yet. Industrialization pulled people into cities, far away from farms. Milk had to travel longer distances. That created a problem. Raw milk spoiled quickly and carried disease. Urban populations suffered outbreaks tied directly to contaminated dairy. The solution was heat, regulation, and technology. Pasteurization changed everything. Heating milk killed harmful bacteria and made large-scale distribution possible. Refrigeration extended shelf life. Bottles replaced buckets. Milk became standardized, regulated, and commercialized. By the 20th century, milk wasn't just food, it was policy. Governments promoted it. Schools served it. Advertisers framed it as strength, growth, and health. Milk became a symbol of modern nutrition, even as its ancient roots faded from memory. But the core truth didn't change. Milk only became widespread because humans made it work, first culturally, then biologically, and finally technologically. In the modern world, milk is questioned, filtered, replaced, and rebranded. Alternatives rise. Debates continue. But none of that erases milk's origin story. Milk survived because humans needed it, adapted it, and reshaped themselves around it. Few foods can claim that legacy. Milk didn't spread because it was perfect. It spread because it was useful. It wasn't gentle. It wasn't ideal. But it offered something humans couldn't ignore. Survival with continuity. So when people ask whether humans were meant to drink milk, they're asking the wrong question. Humans were meant to survive. Milk happened to be one of the tools that made that possible. And that's the real origin of milk. If you value stories that go deeper than headlines, stories that respect your intelligence and explain how food shaped humanity, make sure you subscribe, hit the bell, and stay connected. Because food history isn't just about what we eat, it's about who we are. See you in the next one.